Late at night, a woman noticed a strange shadow flickering in the hallway mirror. When she stepped closer, a reflection that wasn't hers whispered, "Finally, you're close enough." Then a cold, wet hand reached out from the glass and seized her arm. The old house creaked and groaned around her, familiar sounds that usually lulled Sarah to sleep. But tonight, a different kind of quiet had settled in. The heavy, weighting kind that made the hairs on her arms stand on end. She'd been trying to read, the words on the page blurring into an indecipherable mess. A persistent, nagging feeling of being watched had been growing all evening, a prickle at the base of her neck that refused to go away. She finally tossed the book aside, the thump it made on the nightstand echoing too loudly in the silence. Maybe a glass of water would help. She swung her legs out of bed, her bare feet meeting the cold hardwood floor. The hallway stretched before her, a long tunnel of darkness broken only by the faint moonlight filtering through the landing window. Halfway down the hall hung a large, ornate mirror, a relic left behind by the previous owners. It was framed in dark, tarnished silver, its surface clouded with age in the corners. Sarah had always found it a bit unsettling, the way it seemed to swallow the light rather than reflect it. Tonight, as she padded past, something caught her eye. A flicker, a brief, unnatural movement in the periphery of her vision, deep within the mirror's murky depths. She stopped, her heart giving a nervous little flutter. It was probably just a trick of a light, a car's headlights sweeping across the window. She told herself that, but her feet remained glued to the floor. Curiosity, a morbid and foolish impulse, warred with her instinct to run back to the safety of her bedroom. She took a hesitant step back, peering into the glass. Her own reflection stared back, pale and wide-eyed in the gloom. Everything behind her was as it should be. The closed door to the guest room, the faint outline of a framed painting on the opposite wall. Nothing was out of place. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, a small, shaky laugh escaping her lips. It was just her overactive imagination, spooked by the old house and the silence. She was being ridiculous. Just as she was about to turn away, it happened again. A definite movement. It wasn't a trick of the light this time. Behind her own reflection, another shape shifted in the darkness, a darker patch of shadow detaching itself from the others. It was tall and gaunt, a distorted silhouette that didn't belong. A cold dread, sharp and absolute, pierced through her. Her breath hitched in her throat. Her mind screamed at her to run, to get away, but her body was frozen, held captive by a terrifying fascination. Slowly, she leaned in, her face just inches from the cool surface of the mirror. She needed to see, she needed to be sure. The shape behind her became clearer, resolving into the vague form of a person, but its features were blurred, indistinct, like a watercolor painting left out in the rain. And then, a voice slithered out from the glass, a dry, rasping whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. It wasn't a sound that traveled through the air to her ears. It was a vibration that resonated deep inside her skull. "Finally, you're close enough." Before the meaning of the words could fully register, the reflection of the thing behind her lunged forward. Simultaneously, her own reflection's eyes widened in a rictus of terror as its mouth opened in a silent scream. But it wasn't the image that moved her. A chilling coldness erupted from the mirror's surface. A hand, slick with an icy, foul-smelling dampness, and impossibly strong, shot out from the solid glass. It bypassed her reflection entirely, its gray, wrinkled fingers clamping around her upper arm like a vice. The shock of the physical contact was absolute. It was real. It was touching her, then something grabbed her wrist from the drain. A scream finally tore from Sarah's throat, a raw, primal sound of pure horror. The hand was pulling her, dragging her inexorably toward the mirror. She could feel the unnatural cold spreading up her arm, seeping into her bones. She dug her heels into the floorboards, pulling back with all her might, her muscles screaming in protest. The surface of the mirror rippled like water where the hand emerged, the hallway behind her distorting into a swirling vortex of nightmare colors. She could see the face in the mirror now, inches from her own on the other side of the glass. It was her face, but twisted, ancient, and utterly devoid of life, its eyes black, empty pits that promised an eternity of silent, cold darkness. The hand pulled harder, and the glass began to give way, stretching, thinning, preparing to swallow her whole.